श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम्। श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम्। नवकंजलोचन कंजमुखकर कंजपदकंजारुणम्। कंदर्पगणित अमित छवि नवनीलनीरद सुंदरम्। पटपीतमानहु तडितरुचिशुचि नौमि जनकसुतावरम्। श्रीराम श्रीराम राम राम सिया राम। श्रीराम श्रीराम राम राम सिया राम। श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम्। श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम्। नवकंजलोचन कंजमुखकर कंजपदकंजारुणम्। कंदर्पगणित अमित छवि नवनीलनीरद सुंदरम्। पटपीतमानहु तडितरुचिशुचि नौमि जनकसुतावरम्। श्रीराम श्रीराम राम राम सिया राम। श्रीराम श्रीराम राम राम सिया राम।
Okay. Audible? how to start. So much to say. The words are not yet formed. So sometimes a question helps form them. Sometimes just waiting helps form them. But the sense is that when we rely on the outer sensory experience, then there seems to be a body at the center of it. So I use my sight, I use my hearing, all of that seems to have reference to a body at the center. And with all of this playing out, it seems next to impossible to put God actually in the center, because it seems so apparent that this body mind is in the center. So the myth of the somebody who is the body mind, which is called the me, naturally gets center stage if we rely only on the outer sensory experience. But there is a completely different realm. We have to call it some word, so let's call it realm. Where when we focus, let's call it inwards, it's difficult to formulate in words, but let's call it inwards. When we go inwards, then what we encounter is that holy presence, and then naturally that holy presence called the Atma, God's presence, then becomes the primary character, becomes the central. So the switch from the me to God we attempt to do it in a few different ways. You see? First, when we come into spirituality, we attempt to do it through our belief. That I believe God is here, God is real, and I must keep believing that till I am deeply convinced. You see? So we try to do it with our belief. But belief usually gets overwhelmed with the world. So to put it simply, Maya seems too strong for belief systems. No matter how deep our conviction may be, Maya shakes our conviction. So we lose track of our belief that God is here, He is real, He is central. Very quickly, me becomes the one that seems to be here and seems to be central in our existence. So the second way we try and do it when we mature in our spirituality is that we may not yet confirm the darshan, the palpable inner insight, the palpable inner vision of God yet, or the Atma within, the Holy Spirit within. We may not yet confirm that, but we come to a point of faith where our heart knows. You see? Our heart knows that the reality of this me is not true. The reality of this world shakes in comparison to the reality of the one that is within. So we rely on that faith. We rest on that faith, and that is a very powerful movement, because faith is not that easily shaken as belief is. You see? When we rest on our faith, it is like falling in love. True love is not that easily shaken by the opposition in the world. You see, so we rest in our faith. It is stronger than just conceptual belief, stronger than just buying into the idea. You see? Now, this faith then becomes a permanent part of our existence, and the more we live in this faith, the deeper our insight into the reality of His being here, the 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 darshan of His reality in our heart becomes more and more palpable as we learn to live in this faith, and that darshan then reinforces our faith even further. You see? So this is the kind of love which grows in presence. It is not the kind of love where absence makes the heart grow fonder. You see, it is the kind of love that grows. The more we are present to this presence, relying on faith, the more this faith grows, the more the inner darshan of the Atma within grows. And in that, then as it grows, then more and more God becomes central to our lives. Not a me trying to use the concept of God to make their life better. See, is there something wrong with that? No, it's not really wrong. We have to rely on God to take care of our lives, that's fine. But the more we deepen in our spirituality, the deeper our relationship, our love relationship with God will become. And that's why my feeling is, and of course I'm often wrong, my feeling is that a godless spirituality doesn't work. So this ability to stay in His light and love and presence within then takes the centrality of the me out of the picture and puts God in the center. You see? Then our life becomes as if we are moving in this world, as if we are moving in this world, but our inner life, which is still in His darshan, still in His presence, that becomes the priority. You see, this is like a moonlighting job. That's the term, right? So this outer life becomes like the moonlighting job, and the inner life becomes the main job. So that is the switch from the me to God, from me to the centrality of the me, switching to the centrality of God, may start off as a conceptual switch. May start off because of some provocation in satsang, may start off because of the invitation in satsang, but the reality of it comes through the deepening of our own faith, of our own insight, of our own inner vision. Yeah. So we start to see with our heart's eyes, we start to see with our inner vision the reality of our true life, which is to be lived in His presence. So in our scriptures, many times the main characters are sent on exile. Maybe it sort of represents our exile in this outer world, and we forget where our true home is. And then when we return to His presence, then it is the homecoming which is worth celebrating. So that is the spiritual life in a sense. So that's why we keep saying, and I saw the other day that I've been belaboring this point for at least 14-15 years about making God central in our lives and making the me secondary or not even secondary. So all of us must have the anchor, the tool, the practice which allows us to practice doing this. Because it is very, very rare for it to happen without practice. It may happen spontaneously. You may feel like you had such a deep inner insight that you cannot leave the one who lives in your heart, you just can't leave. It may happen, but it's very rare. That's why all the sages for centuries have told us that we must practice it. We must practice keeping on putting, repeatedly keeping God in the center. So when Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi said that the mirror must be polished again and again, punah punah, the mirror must be polished again and again. So what is this polishing? When he said that we must remain there, we must abide in that. So that remaining, that abiding is very important. So just we'll go on a little deep so that you get a sense of what I'm saying. How to live in his darshan is the same as abiding in that stillness, that silence which the sages have talked about. It's an inward facing way to live, even though the outer senses may continue to function. It may need some practice initially to keep operating in this outer world while being antarmukhi, inner facing, but it does happen. So do we all know what brings us to that stillness and keeps us to that stillness? Now God does it, it's God's grace, but I'm saying that in this play, what are the seeming mechanics at the moment which seem to be the most helpful to bring us to that silence, to bring us to the stillness? You see, whether it's self-inquiry, whether it's taking God's name, whether it is trying to remember to remain open and empty, or in the unborn, in the no mind, whatever you may want to call it. And I'd like to say that at least for the day we must have it clear. What is going to keep me with God today? Yes.
So this we're reading the Gita, and in that it says sometimes it's a pointer which brings me.
Yes.
Like recently, it's that I am pained is mere. I am pained.
I am pained
is a mere delusion.
Yes.
Like something like that.
Yes.
That reminder,
Exactly.
or even that word titikshasva.
Exactly. To endure the heat
Yeah.
of the world.
Is it okay
whatever.
if that is?
Yeah.
But it changes.
But yeah, it's fine. It's completely fine. But I would say, like we say, don't get out of bed without leaving God's presence. Don't get out of bed without knowing that today this is going to keep me with God.
It's even in that day it changes. Sometimes
it's fine for it to change, but it should be like a relay where the baton should not fall.
Yeah.
If the baton falls, then we give Maya the slightest opportunity, and you see how our texture changes. The texture of our life changes. It starts with the simple idea, this one was a bit rude to me, it's all right. It's okay, you must be having a bad day. It starts like that, and very soon it is, this one is always like this. He's a bad person. He's like this only. I will never talk. So grievances, resentment, pride, all of this grows. You see? So Maya is literally, you give it an inch and it wants to take the mile, literally. So that's why if you start getting into me mode, then it takes on a momentum of itself, and then that me wants to grab everything. It just feels like I'm so right now, I will own the entirety of my life. You see? So we can go from my life belongs to God fully and I'm here for God, my heart is God's alone, to I'm going to fight for me within a few minutes. That's why, so that we don't. What is the battle about? The battle is for time, exactly. So the stealer of time will come in the most devious ways. You see? And the slightest notion believed in may start off even sounding like a holy notion sometimes, you see, then can get in the putting me back in the center. You see? Are we able to at least uh, tell now in our heart intuitively who is at the center of my movie in this frame? You see? If you're able to tell, that's a great step. You see? If the only one who seems to be possible to put in the center of the frame right now is me, then we need to deepen in our practice. We need to go deeper. We need to come more and more into the stillness, stay in the silence, because otherwise this will just become conceptual. That God now or me how will become only conceptual. It will become just, oh, I can't move, put me in the center. It always causes me trouble. I'll always be in some pain. If me is here, I can't put me, but still me only. No? You see, so we can't do it conceptually. It's like, how do we switch planets? We have to switch out from this planet of me into the true realm of heaven, which is God's presence. You see? And literally, it is like heaven and hell. So that is why Maya would like to steal every day from us, and we must not give it even a few seconds, because we've seen what happens when we give it a few seconds. It just builds up. Say? It happens, no? And those conditions, that conditioning which has been oppressing us for quite some time, then it has its own natural momentum. You see, now the ditches of Maya seem the most inviting, isn't it? The ditches of Maya seem the most inviting. It's not that we fall into the ditch, we jump into it. You see? It only, what can the ditch do? It can only invite us. Nothing can force your Antakarna to go into the ditch. It only invites you through the construct of a thought. You see? And that thought which has been nurtured a lot, that condition which has been nurtured a lot, that seems very inviting. So it pulls us back into the me mode. And that is why, if you were to look at the invitation or the provocation, the invitation of the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, then if you apply it at the inner realms, then the invitation is to fight these attachments, fight this me mode, and to do our dharma, which is to remain in God's presence. Now, does the invitation seem right or wrong? It seems very right. It seems very right. Like nobody accepts the invite. You see? So somebody says, okay, now we are going to just all of us fall in the gutter. Nobody is going to say, yes, I'm in, count me in, I'm there. Nobody. So it promises elevation, it promises feeling better about yourself, it promises resolution of problems, it promises many things. And that's why we buy into it. Nobody goes into it taking it to be a lie. It seems like the complete truth, very, very right at the moment. And that is why we accept that invitation. But as we mature spiritually, more and more we learn to create new grooves which are taking us to the heart instead of taking us to the head, taking us to God instead of taking us to the me. Then those become deeper. It's easier not to fall into the me trap. And we talked about it, like we could be talking about this very topic. The whole satsang could be about this very topic. Like suppose it's gone on 3 hours, and yet someone asks a question, and if that is ignored, then the message will come from the mind saying, see, he listened to every question, but he ignored me. No? So that this is how subtle, how tricky it is. The whole satsang could be about not paying attention to the mythical, non-existent one, and yet it will play in this way. because Maya supports it. Our sensory perception mixed with our mind's interpretation of what this is not going to lead you to your reality within. It is going to lead you to the false made up idea of who you are. And it uses every opportunity. The minute we become complacent about it, see? Now I have understood me will not be in the center, only God will be in the center. You see? And a few minutes later, it has got you by the throat. So, when did all of us understand that me cannot be at the center, God has to be in the center? It's been a while. And yet the fight continues. It continues because something comes which seems so right. You see? All that is fine. Yes, Ramji is right here in my heart. His presence is more intimate than if he was standing in front of us. His reality is more real than anything that comes and goes in this ephemeral world. All that is set aside for what? For whom? You see? Just this made up idea. Who is it?
Father, but conceptually, if I am trying to be putting God in the center, not me, feels like it's again about me only, because I am trying to do something to put God. So the object is changed, but the nature is same. Like
Exactly. So that's why I said that we have to start off using our belief system, our conviction, because there is no other entry point into it. But as we continue with our sadhana, as we continue with our satsang, it becomes more about faith. And faith is not conceptual. Faith, when we like how do we meet what faith is telling us when we are empty of ourselves? Now, I cannot tell you how to be empty of yourself. You see, because whatever I tell you, the me will take, like you rightly said, it will take and try to navigate through it. So then we just have to rely on the time-tested methods, do the self-inquiry, take God's name, remember to be as empty, allow your thoughts to come and go. So all of these practices have been there for maybe since the beginning of humanity, I don't know, but since the scriptures which are available, which are thousands of years, so these methods have been prescribed. Otherwise, just be empty of me. See? And it may work for a moment. I spent many years in satsang just clicking like that. But something will first grab your attention, then grab your belief. And when it has your attention and belief, then the me is at the center of it. So then we have to continue with our practice so that we don't fall into that mode.
It's a little bit of a confession.
Huh?
It's a little bit of a confession, Father. I've noticed in the last couple of days, Father, that if I've prayed for a long duration or if I've chanted for a longer time,
Prayed, yes.
then the next day it gets to me saying कि बहुत कर लिया है. Now you rest it out थोड़ा सा, because it just, or it gives permission to spend time doing nothing at all, but not going towards prayer.
Nothing is fine.
Yeah, but it's like idle.
But that, is it really ever nothing? That's the thing. No? Like if nothing would mean empty. Empty is what our prayer is leading us to. But nothing means doom scrolling. Nothing means some conceptual indulgence, working on some topic, some this thing, picking up the me identity. And this used to happen, and maybe it still happens, just after satsang also the mind will come. saying, okay, now done. Let's now, take a break from this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
After satsang, because you asked me to prolong it,
Yeah.
so I tried that.
very good.
So after satsang, it continues somewhere.
Yeah. Very
But
good.
then, like the next, like say for example, yesterday felt like a very full-on day. Today, the daytime, I felt like okay, I can while away time. It was
But while
so,
away, in what way?
nothing really. Like maybe some. Actually, I did the Vishnu Sahasranam in the
Okay.
morning, and then chanted a bit. After that, I did like I was just watching some YouTube videos, just randomly.
It seems
Like
alright. It seems alright. Doesn't seem that much of a thing.
yeah, but it yeah.
Some ebb and flow will be there. Some ebb and flow will be there. But as long as we are not going from God to me, God, me. That roller coaster is too
No, it was
oppressive.
a pleasant day, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes it has its own texture also. So don't have to worry too much about that. Usually what happens is we have a day full of love, light, spirit, all of that. The next day it can be like anger, resentment, grievances, all like Maya can play a strong card like that. So if it's not like that, if it's peaceful, it's fine. Well, we fall for grievances, it's true. But easy to fall into that trap, I don't know. It is compelling,
It's
it pulls us in, but
like in that moment, God is waiting for me. I forget. I feel this is so true.
so strong.
So
That's
strong.
So strong. Yes. Yes. We just have to keep at it.
Like the muscle has to grow. Like just
Exactly.
every time that groove comes, I choose God.
Exactly. And from what I've seen, you've, like, compared to a few years ago, there's so much maturing, of course.
No, I just see there's a lot of resentments. Like I don't want to let it go.
Who's at the center of the resentment?
I feel very right of having been wrong.
Yes. But who's been wronged?
Not the light in my heart.
Huh?
Not the light in my heart.
Not the light in your heart. Can we find that one? Can we find that one at all anywhere? So now it would be fine if the exchange that we were making was not so different in level. You see? So suppose it was between me, suffer, return to emptiness. Return to emptiness and just empty. But it's me being empty and me suffering. Like that. No? Suppose it was like that. But on the other end is actually life in God's presence. You see? Life in God's presence. And the forgetting of who God is, you see, is the trick of Maya.
Yeah.
So many times we may not forget about God, but we may forget about who He actually is.
Say more on that.
So many times I've spoken to you kids also. So it becomes about God and me. That becomes clear. You see? But that choice seems almost like equal sometimes, because it can seem equal because it's between the conceptual me and the conceptual God. You see? Now the remembering of who God is moves it away from the conceptual territory into heart territory, into inside territory.
How do you do it in the, like that day I remember on chat you asked me when I was feeling so much hatred,
Yeah.
and you said if God walked in, I felt the hatred was so big that I couldn't meet your question if God, like I didn't want to leave that hate
Yeah, but
in
what
my,
would happen if you met the question?
in that moment I didn't want to leave. I didn't want
I
to
know that.
leave that
That's
being
what I'm
right.
saying. That's what I'm saying. So Maya, no, I know what's going to happen if I look in that direction. I'm not going to look. You see?
Because I wanted to be so right. Like
Exactly. And what is the exchange we are making?
incomparable.
Incomparable. Incomparable. You see? So I challenge you, I promise you that if Ramji walked in through that door right now, we would not remember a single grievance. We
Yeah.
won't remember our name also.
Yeah.
We don't remember where that grievance would land. You see, we just walked in through that door right now. You see? Now, what I'm saying is that he doesn't have to walk in, he is right there. You see? He doesn't have to walk in through the door. He's right there. And I know that initially it may seem like a belief, then it may seem like I'm relying on a completely faith-based insight. But the more you remain with that faith-based insight, which means a heart knowing, the more that deepens, and soon, well, I don't know how soon. That was a Jesus-like soon, but soon, the idea of leaving his presence for being right will seem more and more repulsive. More and more. It's already seeming more and more, but that more and more just deepens where you feel like at some point you feel like, what will I get if I was the rightest person in this universe? I would still be a person, which is the base itself is wrong. You can try and fill it up with as much right as you want. It won't become right. You see? So I have a huge container which can contain holy water, but it's made up of air. You see? But it's huge. How much holy water will it contain? It can't. It's just made up of air. It's just conceptual. So no matter how much right we fill into this me, it can never be fulfilled because that actually is non-existent. It's just conceptual. So, what is the vindication? What is the retribution? Whatever this me wants? You see, suppose from now on, for the next 40, 50 years, it became about that, and the end you turned out to be right, and everybody saw that you were right. What will that actually get us at the end of the day?
Nothing. Good you spoke, because I have that.
Exactly.
I want to be apologized to.
Yes.
I want to this one. I'm just going.
Yes.
This I want to be apologized to. I want them to know that they have wronged me, that they were wrong.
Yes.
There's a strong belief in that, and there's a strong, that is a lot of hell
Yes.
in me,
Yes.
and I leave God for this.
Yeah. Now, the tendency to take that onto ourselves is not our designated role in this life.
The justice is
So,
God.
if somebody is your oppressor, to make that oppressor face their justice is not the role that is given to us. The
somewhere I
role
want
that
to
was
keep
given
it.
to us was to remain in our innocence, you see, and not judge right from wrong, good from bad, the original eating of the apple, you see. was to take on that role which was not designated to us.
See, I want to probe this a little.
Yes, yes.
Why not?
I'm just going to share that our capacity to determine, you see, like if I was to judge something Manu did, yeah, so then I would have to know his full life context, what was his state of mind, what kind of day he had had, or what kind of life he had had, what kind of conditions. And if you look at these things like oppression, or if you look at these things, you see that it is just, it has a cycle which spreads from generation to generation, which just moves. Like, I think a fancy new term for that is called generational trauma or something like that. I don't understand psychology, but so to get that full context into the picture, and then to be able to say, yes, he is the wrong one. You see, I don't feel like in our mind intellect we have the full capacity. What made this child this way? What I'm not picking on Manu at all. I'm just saying, for example, suppose he was in the witness stand right now, in the defendant's box right now. So, what capacity do I have to know the full context, the full understanding of what is going on? I've been wrong so many times in my life. How can I really know that I'm not wrong in this particular case when I'm judging a brother or sister? You see? Now, does that mean that if I don't judge, then there is no such thing called justice? It doesn't mean that. Like, the insight into justice, like where does the universal notion of justice come from? You see, there is a very, like even children, will say, oh, Bhaiya took my eraser, it's not right. No, even children, they may never have been taught about this. They have this deep sense of lying is wrong, these kind of things. So the one who put that sense for us to operate in a godly way, you see, that one will also take care of what justice needs to be done, what repercussions need to be faced, you see, and that one can do it much better than I ever could. So,
Father,
now sages have told us that he actually only knows how to do mercy, he doesn't know how to do justice. You see? Now, would we want our brothers and sisters to be met with mercifully or in a strong authoritarian justice?
Father, can I say, in this case, I want it to be justice. Like,
Correct.
it's that strong.
Yeah.
I don't want mercy. I
Yeah.
want justice.
Yeah.
Like, it's that strong. How do I leave this? I
Yes,
don't.
exactly.
It's hell,
So,
Father.
but something tells you that the higher path is to
Yeah.
want mercy
Like
for everyone.
the same thing, if there was somebody else in context,
Yes.
I hear you,
Exactly,
I know
exactly.
that one's behavior is because, but because I feel so, I have been so oppressed,
Yeah.
I want to throw it back.
Yes.
And that's the fight.
Yes, that's a fight. As long as you see it is the fight between the me wanting.
It's very.
Okay, let me pose it to you again. Now, from this moment on, every moment, everyone in your life admits that you were right, you are the right one. You see? Versus from this moment on, every moment in God's presence.
God's presence.
So that is.
Even though for some moments it felt equal, but I know God's
It does
presence.
it feels right. No, Maya doesn't feel wrong.
Feels
That's
equal.
exactly what I'm saying. When it invites us, it is not saying, come, let's go live in some lies. Let's go invent a fictional me who has a past, who has a present, who has a future. It doesn't say all that. It says, of course, you are this me. Let's get real. You are this me. You see? And that's the messaging it gives. Now, to live in faith, to live in God's light, is to remember that God is the reality. If there is a me, the job of the me is just to live in servitude, in devotion to God.
Can I say, like, the traps that I might fall?
But this part was heard.
Yes.
Let me just repeat this part. So,
Okay.
so there is no me, and even if it seems like there is one, its job is only to live in servitude and devotion to God. His job is not to sit at the judge's chair. His job is not to deliver commandments of justice. His job is nothing else but to live in devotion, in love, and in following God's will, in servitude to God.
That is just by staying with his name
Yes.
when the grooves are
Yes.
trying.
And whenever this me seems to come in the forefront, remember the job responsibilities.
The dharma.
Remember the dharma, exactly.
Father, one trap that Maya tries is like, so when there's some enduring happening, like there's so much happening, and you said no, like face the heat and endure, and then like the insides feel very, very sick, like, and the Maya
Insides feel sick.
sick, like the wound, everything, like, because there's anger, there's fear, there's everything, and I'm just staying with God. So the trap is sometimes Maya gives that fear of feeling so fearful inside and hatred, and it wants to throw it, right? And to endure. I'm just saying like that.
Yeah, of course.
It gives that fear that like you're not enduring the right way. You shouldn't be feeling like this. Like some crap, okay? But I know I'm just fighting it with God.
Yes. And like it's okay to have that sense that I am fighting on God's side, you see. But deepen and move that to God is
Here.
here. He is fighting on my behalf. He is doing everything on my behalf. And the me either doesn't exist, or even if it exists or seems to exist, its job is to love God, it is to serve God. What is the job that the me has taken on in the world? It's taken on many jobs. I have to be like this, I have to be good, I have to be right, I have to. We have, all of us have our own personal philosophies and ideas about what the designated job of the me is. Now, the sages have told us that this me has one job, as long as it seems to be real, seems to exist, his job is to follow the will of God.
So can you say more on when you say that instead of I am fighting, I am choosing God?
Yes.
God
So
is
when
here.
we
Can
choose God, then what would the evidence of that choice be?
There is no me there.
I'm going to make God sit on this chair. Okay? I'm going to make God sit on this chair. I'm choosing God. If choosing God would mean God comes and sits on the chair. You see? I'm choosing God. I'm choosing God. I'm choosing God. Huh? So
नहीं
then would
समझ
you
में
say
आया
that
what say.
would you say that I've made that choice? I have to have left the chair, no?
Yeah.
I would have to. If I'm choosing God, then I'm not choosing like a partnership. It's not a 50-50 deal.
So what's the bhav in that, Father? Please say,
Yeah.
because I feel like
Yeah. So we said.
there's work to do
So
there.
when we say Ram, then Ram is here. The sayer of Ram is not the one in the center of the frame. Huh? The sayer, the rememberer, is not at the center of the frame. Huh? So when we say I'm choosing God, then um, then I'm holding a picture of God. You see? Then I'm holding a picture of God, or I'm just choosing God. But if I remain in the center, and the choosing of God seems to be just the circumstantial, the evidence that I'm providing to myself, but it's still about me. What would God in the center look like? Okay, let's use another framing. So, Antakarna, we use this example often. Now, half lemonade, half whiskey is choosing lemonade. Half, 3/4 lemonade, 1/4 whiskey is choosing lemonade.
So there is no how to this offering, no, Father? Like, how do I offer every time my whole? There is no how.
Yes,
Just
that's the same as his question. We just have to follow whatever tools, whatever practice, inquiry, prayer, taking God's name, to learn to put God in the center of our frame.
like even with taking God's name,
Yes.
that it could be possible that my whole
What would
Antakarna
God
is
being in the center of the frame look like?
just God.
Just God, exactly. मेरा मुझ में कुछ नहीं, जो कुछ है वो तेरा, isn't it? So there is no me, nothing mine left in me. All that is here is yours. Is
No matter what's going on.
it's God. Now, are you seeing the difference? You see, but I'm choosing God, and we have to, you see, but I have chosen God.
I'm God.
What would I have chosen God look like? So I'm choosing God is the provisional thing, and then actually there should be no one left to say I have chosen God. That would be choosing God. And that's what the point we were making. As long as the sense of me still seems to remain, then that one has to have no will of itself. It is to be in servitude to God's will. And that is freedom. Like, it may sound strange, but that is freedom. Like, we are oppressed by our will.
Immense freedom.
It's an immense freedom, because once we really offer ourselves to follow God's will, then really we make ourselves open to whatever He guides us moment to moment. And that is freedom, because He is the free one. We join in His freedom.
Like in this wanting to be right, I'm really in hell.
Yeah. Yes. And being right also only provides momentary pleasure, and then it's a continuing hell. So, and the momentary pleasure also is just the pleasure of the freedom from the grasping, from the
Yeah.
wanting.
Yeah.
You see? Like I wanted water, and then I drink some water. It's transparent in its nature. It has no taste. It has no real inherent pleasure. But it's a freedom from that wanting which gives the pleasure of drinking the water. You see, but if you kept drinking the water, then it's another oppression. You have to keep drinking it. So desire just creates a knot, and the unknotting of that knot seems to give us some joy, but that joy is just momentary.
And it's hollow.
Yes, it's all. I promise you that if all those who you are strongly convinced oppressed you, if they all came and fell at your feet and apologized, that will feel good for a very short period of time. You see? But the byproducts of that, which is to elevate the me or keep the me at the center, may not be the best for your spiritual growth. And to keep wanting that will keep the me constantly at the center.
Like to see all the sages like Tukaram and how much he was, all of them, and they just took it so gracefully.
Like, it's a very inspiring story. Like in my life, it's very inspiring to hear Tukaramji's story, because he would go, like he was living in God's will so much that he would go sit under a tree and pray all day, and then children are looking for him, wife is looking for him. Then he would go back when God would allow him to, and then his wife would fire the daylights out of him and all of that. So but he didn't lose his hold on God in his heart.
How, Father? How
That's the
much strength?
beauty of it, no? That he didn't fall for egotism So that's why the lives of the sages are so beautiful. They're very important to read, very important to
Say
remember,
Nectarius.
because they're so inspiring.
Man of God, that movie.
Yes, exactly. All of the lives of the sages have so much to teach us.
May not go with that groove.
See now, but the mind plays one trick with all of us. It says, but those were great ones.
No,
You see?
no, no.
That those were great ones, all this we can't do. But this is just not true.
Like an inspiration, no? See it
Yes,
as an
their
inspiration.
lives are inspiration for what we can do, that we have to emulate. You see? So that one moment of not falling for it, that one moment of not falling for it, every day, hundreds of times not falling for it, makes our life into a saint's life, into a sage's life. So in essence, they are in the midst of the same battle between Maya and God. And through remaining, through abiding, through practicing, they don't fall for those things which we still fall for.
It's like God puts these situations so you can exercise that love, no? Like you were saying.
Exactly. If it was just easy to love everyone, then love would not be love. And the almost as important a point is that we must not abstract it to the layer of the apparent sinner in our eyes.
See.
What happens is that there is a certain expression that we, let's use the word endured. You see? So suppose Ramdas was acting badly. So he was saying, something like that. You see? Now what happens to us, because we are so used to name and form, we will immediately label it as something that he is like that. This person is like this, forgetting very well that we've been in Advaita Vedanta Satsang for 15 years, where we have mainly talked about the fact that there is no such person. You see, but when buttons are pushed, then to remember that, and we can't actually remember that, we have to rely on just remaining in God's presence, and then even in the face of that situation, meet that situation with love. And love doesn't mean that it says, yes, you're doing very good, very good. That's not necessarily love. It could be. But to be able to separate the condition, the vasana, from the individual. You see? So,
Like from my
otherwise
heart.
it can be very easily confused. And that's why I was ranting a bit the other day about the notion of somebody being very dark. It's just not possible. It is not the somebody being dark. You see, the whole satsang has been about there being a nobody. Then who are we calling the somebody who's being dark? So we must stay away from these kind of abstractions into the visible layer.
I
Like,
get
because
into that
this
very
body mind
easily,
is
so-
visible to me, so I'll put it on that, rather than then saying, okay, is this God or is this Maya? And how, if it is Maya, then how do if my talk of love for my brother or sister is not just lip service, then how can I help them be free from this Maya in love? You see? So it's not about this person wronged me or these people wronged me. It is about what is my role in this. If it is to spread the love for God, what can I do this moment inspired by God to spread that love? And it goes back to the same, living in God's will. You see? But the minute we've made it about a somebody or a somebody's, then we've already made ourselves into a somebody. isn't it? Like, is it possible to label a brother or sister somebody that this is Jyotima? No? If I feel like this is Jyotima, then I'm naturally taking this to be Ananta.
Yeah.
So when we say identification is inbuilt into any of these thoughts, it doesn't have to be a stated thing. It doesn't have to be a stated identification. You see? Just an implied identification. If I've labeled a brother as a person, Amor, then I've labeled this body mind as Ananta. So the minute you start to say that these somebodies have wronged me or righted me also, then you are taking yourself to be a somebody whether we see it or not in that moment.
Yes.
And we are not helping. Like, the poison in anything will not get reduced by adding more poison. In this case, it is not true that poison cuts poison.
Yeah.
Only love can heal these
Yes.
things. Only love can heal these things. And till we find ourselves unable to love, then our deep prayer remaining with God, then He inspires us, He provides that love. And you've seen that in the past.
Just a related question. Father, loving them would also mean like abandoning those stories then and there, no? Immediately, like not going into any resolution or any sort of trying to, like, because then I'm not in my heart. So, talking anything from that space, for me, I'm saying. So I just like withdraw and.
See, actually, it is not our job for justice or forgiveness. Forgiveness is the flip side of the justice in a way. But if we are to apply ourselves in any way, then it must be, what did Jesus say? Like an infinite forgiveness instantly. That must be the way we live. Like, no limits to our forgiveness, and it must be instant. Yeah, and of course, many times we will find ourselves unable to do that, but that points us to our inner conditioning, and then that should deepen our humility and then deepen our sadhana. God has given us an instruction, you see, in whichever form He comes, still God has given us an instruction. When we find ourselves unable to follow that, that means that I must deepen in my sadhana, I must deepen in my closeness to Him, because the closer we get to Him, the deeper we immerse ourselves in Him, the more we become like Him in our outer expression. The more we deepen in our forgiveness, in our mercy, in our humility, in our faithfulness, in our love, all of these attributes come from Him. All that is valuable comes from Him. Huh? Exactly. His very life is a representation, like His very life is the representation of the fact that He is saying that I am not just here for lip service, I will show you. And it's just not true when people say that, oh, but He was God, He wouldn't have felt anything in the crucifixion, He wouldn't have felt anything in the betrayal. Just not true. When they come as avatar, Ramji cried when Sita was taken by Ravan, no? So they still feel, so full human and full God, which again our intellect will not understand. But remember that our lives are here to, their lives are here to inspire us, to show us. So He's not just a lip service God. Not just a lip service God. He says, okay, you feel like this is too much, I will show you the extent of forgiveness which is possible in the human condition.
Father, you just gave an example of while judging, as soon as you even have a separation of, you took Ramdas names. So how please explain practically in that case? I cannot even take anybody's name. As soon as I say Shiva already is separated. Then how practically it's so what are we talking? then we cannot even open mouth, Father.
We always, where you seem to get stuck, always on this point, is because you feel that action can only come from mental conclusion. You don't feel like action can come from heart inspiration or God's will. Because you feel like, if I don't draw this conclusion, then I can't act.
So Father, you're saying, where you're saying,
How are you speaking now?
you are saying still take separation real, but not from. How, Father? You are saying.
So right now, are you taking, did you conceptualize this question and then the words came up? Okay. So it is possible for action to happen without concluding, without determining in our thoughts. Now there's a higher place for action to happen, which is to live so deeply immersed in God's presence that you allow the words to flow from there.
So separation is happening, but from there, is it?
So when we live in God's presence, then words may be spoken which are the most helpful in that particular situation without us having to take a position about anything at all. It's like, what's a good way to say this? I haven't used one for years, but the mouse on the computer. The mouse on the computer may start off with the idea that I am taking the action by myself. I have this thing, you see, that I am taking these actions, I am moving the cursor on the screen, I am clicking, you see. And then through insight, through heart knowledge, it realizes that actually there's a hand which is controlling me. You see. So I don't have to take a position about what is right on the screen, what is wrong on the screen. I am empty of all of that. I am just being clicked. You see, in which way he clicks me, what words are spoken, all of that is up to him. That is the meaning of Kabirji saying that I am just the dog of Ramji. Wherever he pulls my leash, I go. So is the dog taking himself to be one or separate?
So you're saying, okay, so judgment and all can still happen, but if it's happening from that space.
In your, this is dangerous, okay? So you have to be careful about this. In the sharing, in the communication in the world, it may still seem like we're using words of separation. Like we used to joke and say, no, that we don't usually, we may, but we don't usually go to a restaurant and say, the body mind here, which is just appearing in the light of consciousness, which also comes and goes, but in reality is pure awareness, is playing this game of ordering spaghetti. No? So the conversation in the restaurant, which may be most appropriate, may be to just say, I'd like a spaghetti, please. Are you taking yourself to be the body that wants the spaghetti? No? No, you're just moving from that, whatever. And we've said that the sharing of satsang is called satsang because in satsang at least this body has to serve as the instrument of that. He is the one speaking, and if there is a hearer here, then the hearer here is hearing satsang like all of us. You see? So it cannot be applied conceptually. It has to be applied in the heart, surrendering and allowing whatever movement has to move in that surrendering. Otherwise it becomes like that, no? Lion came, tiger came, no? Lion or tiger came. The great Adi Shankara himself was in a forest. So when tiger came, Shankara is the first one to climb a tree. And then tiger went away and he climbed back, then all his disciples are kind of like, all of your usual expression. So, like, but you were just talking about how everything that is appearing is Maya. You see, and you were the first to climb the tree when the tiger came. You see, so there are two ends to this story. One is more true, the other is more fun. So the more true one is that the appearance of the tiger, my climbing the tree, all of this is an appearance in Maya itself. In reality, what I am remain unmoved. You see. Uh, the second is, which is the more fun one, is that I know that the tiger is Maya, but the tiger doesn't know that I am Maya.
May I also say a
Yeah.
similar story
Yes,
from
please.
Sri Ramakrishna?
Please.
So,
Right.
Sri Ramakrishna has a similar story. Uh, Sri Ramakrishna Dev has a similar story where he's saying that there is this jungle, and there are a few friends who are going in the jungle, and a elephant comes out with a mahout on top of it, and the mahout is just screaming that that go ahead. There's something wrong with
Little closer.
move away. This elephant seems to be having some trouble,
Yes.
and so on. And the friends are on the religious path,
Yeah.
and they are studying Advaita and so on. With their one of them is their guru, and
Guru,
the rest of the disciples. And then they immediately sort of leave away from the elephant. And then after the elephant passes, and then this is pretty much the same question, like why did we move out if that's also Narayan?
Yes.
And then the guru says, but yes, Hathi is also Narayan, but Mahut is also Narayan, and
Yeah.
if he is instructing us,
Move.
then that is also to be heard of, to be taken care of, and so on. I don't know. I mean,
It's
that's
good. It's very beautiful. It's very beautiful.
it's called Hathi Narayan, Mahut Narayan
Yes.
type of.
Yes.
Father, can I say something, Father?
Can't hear you so well. Let's try again.
Can you hear me now, Father?
Yes. Yes.
Can I speak for a minute?
Yes.
Father, like you were speaking to Radha, and her groove is like the old conditioning and wanting justice for it. Where I feel a strong groove is about the future, not the past.
Yes.
Like this voice, and it always comes with regards to the kids, and it always starts with a what if this happens, what if that happens. And Father, then you were saying that you were speaking about keeping God in the center of the frame. And I was just looking at that. And in that moment, Father, when I'm falling for that, I know very clearly that I'm falling for the what if this happens to my child. But I'm not being able to keep God in the frame really because it's lack of faith, right, Father, that God will.
Yeah.
Can you say something, Father?
Yes. Yes. Lack of faith. Yes, you're right. Is the lack of faith. All of us have at least one or two main topics of Maya. All of us in our lives, Maya's one or two main agents are there which seem to grab us. When these particular topics come, then it seems like we are unable to stay with God, we are unable to stay with our surrender. We have to come into the forefront, the me has to come into the forefront and seem to take charge. So now, when these topics have revealed themselves to us, you see, then like Hanuman Prasad Podarji, Bhaiji said that there is poison in these topics, vishayon mein vish hai, right? So if you now noticing the topic, you also noticing it is poisonous because it takes you away from God.
Mm.
You know? Now, what is your next step? Let's put it that way.
So Can I just give an example of what
Yeah.
happened? So in the morning, a friend called and she was worrying about some issue her child is having, and she was asking for help. So I was speaking with her. But right after the conversation, the mind went into what if this happens with my child?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was able to see that I'm falling in that. And it took, I was able to see, I was able to chant, but Father, it was very, I believe, like I did fall for it. I
Yes.
did go through that loop for a while.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm telling you that even after 27, 28 years of spirituality, every day I fall for many things.
So it's okay. I don't need to beat myself up about falling for
No,
it. I just
yes,
need,
as long as we recognize it, we return back to God's light, you see, then that
but it took
we are
some time
breaking.
to return back, Father.
Yes, but as long as that time is reducing, then we are on track.
Because
Otherwise, what
like,
will happen is we will start putting me back in the center again because we are trying to solve our spiritual problems.
mm,
As long as by God's grace we're moving deeper in love with Him, we're moving these old conditions which would have oppressed us for weeks earlier now
mm,
seem to be seen and getting resolved, and we can return to God in a shorter time. Then we are uh, not to worry so much, not to.
it's actually oppressive because the mind, like Radha was saying, it's oppressive that when
Yes.
this wanting to be right, I find that this what if is like the favorite mind's game over here about the future, and it's oppressive, Father. I can't bear it. I just, it feels unlivable like this, Father.
Before we come to all these points, we have to put God in the center.
Okay. Turn to him, just take his name and put.
Yeah. Don't draw a conclusion about what a life in Maya is like.
Mhm.
Because remember, Kabir ji said, Maya is Mahathagni, Bhakton ki bhakti mein बैठी. So even in the very spiritual conclusions, it could be finding ways to keep me in the center.
How, Father? Like,
Like, I cannot live like this.
so why is that? No,
So who's in the center of that?
yeah, I'm in the center of that. Just leave everything and just him. That's it.
Yes. I mean, it may be like these are very
I
hard
hear.
to draw, but you're getting a sense. Like, like I was saying earlier, even subtler is to say, I'm choosing God. I'm choosing God. I'm choosing God. I'm just choosing God. You see? But the choice has never actually transpired. It's never actually uh, become. No? Then the ego can hang on in the spiritual instruction being its doership, its own conclusion. Yeah.
So in that moment, Father, when I am not putting God in the center of the frame, it's
Can
lack
we
of faith.
admit first that every moment would be better if God was in the center?
Yes, Father.
God makes everything better. You see?
But in that moment, we are not admitting that, na, Father. I'm thinking,
Agreed. But now that we're looking at it from a distance, can we say that every moment only is worth living if God is at the center of it?
every moment is worth living. Yeah, but with one or two topics, there's like a
Correct, correct. We admitted that one or two topics spoke all of us and we get pulled into Maya. Now, when we recognize that God is not in the center of the frame, how many more moments should we take to put God back in the center?
no moment.
No moment, because then it is good money chasing bad money,
Mm.
isn't it? Like the moments have gone and then we are spending more moments thinking about why we didn't put God
Mm.
in the center before, what we must do. It's not possible, you see, but that is stealing more time, no?
Mm.
If Maya has stolen the moment from you, it has won the moment.
So, Father, you're saying don't worry about that. I couldn't return to God immediately.
Exactly. Just return immediately instead of worrying about I couldn't do it.
Mm.
You see, sometimes the final moment could be like a moment of strong determination that I am not leaving his feet no matter what.
Mm.
All right, but after that, finish.
Right now, I'm beating myself up after I want these what ifs to
Exactly.
stop, and I'm just,
Exactly.
I hear you.
Exactly. And still Maya is still in the moment.
Yeah, it feels
Maya
like, but I
Aya
have.
is Maya. Anandmai Ma told, not this foolish man sitting here. Anandmai Ma said, Maya Aya is Maya. Now, are there exceptions to that?
Mm.
As long as it is Maya Aya, it is Maya.
The one who wants this what if to stop is
Yes, and the one
me
who
trying
is
to solve my own
determining whether
problem.
the one who wants a what if to stop is Maya or not is also Maya.
Okay, Father, got it.
You got it? Just
Okay, thank you.
our spiritual wealth, the bricks of our heart temple, all of these will be built by, by every moment spent in God's presence. Now, if you're going to spend like out of the remaining, let's say 50 years, if we're going to spend 45 years determining the architectural plan for our heart temple,
Mm.
you see,
Mm.
that what the architecture of that heart temple should look like, then we'll not have enough time to construct it. Although it may seem like a spiritual exercise.
I hear you. I
You
feel
see the
resistance, but I
trickery in
hear.
that? Yeah.
Thank you, Father.
Very good. Okay, I see some hands of some that I haven't spoken with for many years. So let's go to Kavita first.
Pranam,
Namaste.
Father.
Namaste, dear.
I've come after many years, and so the teaching has changed a bit.
Yeah.
So I, so I wanted to understand this. So basically, from what I understand from the Advaitic teachings,
Yeah.
that there is only one.
Yes.
There is not me, and there's not you, and there's no third person talking, and etc. Right? And then everybody is manifestations of that one.
Yes.
Right? So everybody comes with their concepts, their baggages, and their upbringing and their whole baggage, whatever. So basically, and whatever has to happen is happening because of that one's will.
Yes.
Correct. So the suffering comes if I think that somebody is saying something to me or doing something to me,
Yes.
because there's a me and then there's
Yes.
that person. So the
Exactly.
suffering comes, and the wanting to get rid of the self-suffering is also a selfing. Like
Yes.
I want to get rid of
Exactly.
this suffering, right? So there's a
Exactly.
selfing. So what I'm not understanding is that I get what you're saying is abide in the self as much as possible, abide in this
Yeah.
understanding. But what I'm not understanding is if I'm going to fight with myself, there's going to be a constant struggle
Yeah.
to abide, then there's somebody making that struggle which is getting stronger, and
Yes.
somebody is losing the battle, and somebody
Exactly.
is then feeling guilty about losing the battle,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
then somebody is making a story about not abiding.
Yes.
And if you are already the ocean, then why try to be the wave? If the wave
Correct.
comes and goes,
Correct.
let it come and go, come and go,
Exactly.
come and go. So,
Exactly.
what is this, Father? I've not understood, but I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying because it happens to me. You
Yeah.
get it, you understand it for a long time, and then suddenly you slip, and then you get into this self, and you get
Yeah.
into like the TV and that particular. No, I have to hear what's happening in the Iran war kind of a thing, happens.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I'm saying if it's so, whatever happens, is it okay?
Yeah. So let's look at this exact situation right now. And you're absolutely right about the broadening of the texture of satsang, and probably it is because of like let's take this as a good example. So the one who is the claimant of the understanding, like the let's say let's rewind the clock to 5 years ago. uh,
Yeah.
the first
Okay.
question that this one would have asked is, Who is the one not understanding?
Yeah,
What is the answer?
correct.
Yes or yes, you're not
Yeah, so when you
answering.
say who am I, you can't find. And when you say who's the other person, then you look within and there's no other person either.
Correct, correct. So let's walk a little further on this. So the one who is not understanding is the same one who earlier understood something,
Yeah.
isn't it? So then the one who's understood something and the one who's not understanding, both are not the reality, even though the concept in our understanding could be the absolute truth. And yet because it's a matter of our understanding or not understanding, it is still at the layer of mind intellect. Are you getting what I'm saying?
So the
Where
thing
okay,
is,
where does understanding happen?
no, what I'm trying to get here is that I completely 100% with you on making God first and at every moment,
Yes,
abiding moment to moment to moment
yes,
to moment. Because it's very easy to just slip into the belief that I'm abiding, but you're not really abiding actually. So the thing is that the moment there's this I who wants to abide, there's separation. So there's
yes.
like
But
this
what about
me
the
and
I who wants to understand?
yeah, but then if there's no, if you, I want to understand, it's like your concept of how, what does it mean to abide and
Yes,
I mean, because I've spent years with a guru,
yes,
and there was a lot of guilt. You know,
yes,
Jesh's guru and my guru were the same. There was a lot of
yes,
guilt. You didn't do enough practices. You didn't do enough mantra japa. You didn't do enough seva. You
yes,
never did enough,
yes,
and that is why you haven't reached there.
yes,
You know. So it was like, oh, there's somewhere, then that guilt and shame and blame, everything became stronger and stronger. Whereas this, if I don't exist and I don't allow myself, like tu hi tu, like Kabir said, only you, only you, only you, only you, only you. And if I stay with that, then this me doesn't come up. Then I can just stay as I don't exist, and I'm very happy doing that. Because if I don't exist, my problems are also, I mean, that I mean, it's
I
just
hear
a
you. I hear you.
concept.
Yes,
My
yes, I
problems
hear
are
you.
also just a concept, you see.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's look at it this way: that do you feel like coming to the reality of no separate entity, no separate me, no separate I? Do you feel like it is a matter of conviction, or is it a matter of something else? And we'll talk about what that something else is.
So sometimes it's an experience. Like it's sometimes it's like when I'm out of it, it feels like a concept. But sometimes I can experience it, like
Very
that
good.
dissolving.
Very good. Very good. So now in this experience, traditionally this experience has been called Atma Darshan or Atma Gyan, isn't it? So when we have no separation, when I can't find this individual entity called me, then this experience is called Atma Darshan, Atma Gyan, because we'll get into the constructs of that. But that knowledge, is it something that if I just deepen in my belief and remain in the concept that I am not this body mind, I am not this body mind, and if I'm deeply convinced about it, would that be Atma Gyan, would you say, or would that be, it wouldn't be, isn't it?
It's
So
a
we
concept,
have to,
yeah.
exactly, so we have to come to that place where the revelation of this reality of Advaita, the revelation of non separation, the revelation of oneness, the revelation of the self is available to us. So, sages have called it various names. Some have called it silence, some have called it stillness, some have called it nididhyasana, some have called it meditation, some have called it contemplation. So, all these various words have been used. So if you indulge me for 5 more minutes, I'll try to deconstruct this for you.
Right.
So what happens when we ask the question, "Who am I?" then Bhagwan's instructions are when the thought comes proposing an answer, instead of taking the answer to be the truth, you question it saying, who witnesses this thought? Yes. So what happens is that in the process of this questioning, we are brought into a stillness.
Hmm.
Now, this stillness by itself is very beautiful because there is peace, there is no suffering, all of these beautiful things happen in that stillness. But the stillness by itself is not the end of the spiritual path. You see? The stillness enables us to come to the presence of Atma, which is the spirit. So so that's why we call this the door of the Atma, the doorway of the Atma, where the revelation which only the Atma can provide. That's why the sages have said this is a process of grace. How would it be a process of grace? We can say that even the asking of who am I is grace, all of this happens only by grace, but there is a deeper grace which is a revelatory grace. So you may stay in that stillness, some may stay in that stillness for 10 minutes and find the reality of the self, capital S. Some may stay there 50 years and come to the revelation. So, how that happens is completely up to God's grace. When that happens is completely up to God's grace. So, when this is real for us, when it is an experience which is beyond sensory experience, because we cannot have a sensory experience of oneness. We may have an experience of the absence of separation at best. You
Yeah.
see? But we cannot have an sensory experience of the oneness. We cannot have a sensory experience of that reality. So, so that is why this experience, Atma Darshan, Atma Gyan, which is the revelation of the self itself, is possible through another mechanism, which is called intuitive insight or heart insight or Atma Gyan or Atma Darshan. So, what we do in the path of self inquiry is to inquire and say, who am I? And that brings us to the stillness where revelation can happen. What we do in the path of taking the name. So, suppose that we take God's name, one of the names, my favorite name is Ram. So, we say Ram, Ram. Now, suppose it's mango season. So, suppose you were to say mango, 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 what would happen?
I think I would my mind would become as still, just focusing on one mango, mango,
What
mango.
happens with me at least is that maybe I love mangoes too much, is that
That's what the
then
concepts come in, yeah.
the image of mango may come, some memories of tasting mangoes may come. I may start tasting it in my mouth, I may start getting like I may start salivating wanting a mango, you see. So all the layers of my antakarna get filled up with the mangoness, so to speak. You know? So and within the faculties that I have, it's able to reproduce the taste of mango. It's able to reproduce the images of mango. It's able to reproduce the memory of mango. But what happens when I take a name which resonates with me of God? My my outer faculties do not have the capacity to get me to darshan of Lord Ram, but they do have the capacity to bring me to that same place of stillness where that darshan will happen, and that darshan is actually a product of the same revelation of the Atma. You see? So, whichever pathway we may pick, we have to come to that point of stillness, to the point of silence, where then the grace of the Sadguru within, which is the Atma itself, can act upon us. We make ourselves empty and available to the Atma within to act upon us and to give us this revelation. That is why there may be millions who do the self inquiry, but all those millions we will not call Bhagwan. isn't it? We call Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi Bhagwan, or we call Yogi Ram Surat Kumar Ji Bhagwan. Both would suggest different pathways, but both are worthy of our reverence because they came to Bhagwan within. They came to the discovery of God within, whether we call that self realization or God realization or Atma Gyan, Atma Darshan. Those terms we can dive into later. But first, if it is clear to us that spiritual revelation of the Atma within operates in different modes of knowledge compared to the modes of knowledge that we use to deal with the world, and stillness is the prerequisite, silence is the prerequisite for that revelation to happen, then we've come on the same page. Then we are talking the same
Right.
vocabulary.
So portal is the silence, the portal is the stillness, the
Yes,
entry
exactly.
point.
Exactly, exactly.
So
So,
you stand
some
there, you have
Ganesh,
to stand there to abide in
you
that space.
stand
That's
there,
it. And
absolutely.
then after that, what happens is doesn't really
Yeah.
matter.
How is your Marathi?
I mean, I've been grown up in Maharashtra, so I can
Okay.
understand,
So,
but not
Ganeshwar
speaking.
ji says, he starts his Haripat by saying, Devachi ye dware ubhashana bhari, which means that if you stand at the doorway of God for one instant, then what happens? The, what? How do you say? What is the Marathi? Anyway, so the four liberations are yours. Now, I don't know what the four liberations are. They are all his way of saying, stating the closeness towards God, different forms of revelation. But he has said, if you stand at the doorway of God for one moment, then liberation is available to us. And he starts his important scripture called Haripat with that. So, so this is that doorway of the heart temple. This is that doorway of God. We have to stand there, we have to abide there, we have to remain there, no matter what tool or instrument we may be using to get there. Now, you're right. Actually, I would say that there is oppressiveness in both pathways. You see,
Yeah.
in one pathway, there is oppressiveness saying, oh, why haven't you come to awareness? Doing? Why aren't you inquiring? Why haven't you seen the reality of yourself? As if it is a non graceful process, in the
Yes.
sense that as if I can do it for myself, I can create the revelation
Yeah.
that I am pure awareness for myself. So there's that kind of oppression here, especially in today's world where it is said that this is instant, it is immediate. You see, that you can find the reality of what you are. You see, in that way, removing the fact that the revelation happens when it is God's grace acting upon us in that holy place of stillness. So there is, it is oppressive, and we can oppress ourselves a lot in this process. Like, I know there is no me, still why do I keep falling for this me? You see,
Yes,
I
you're
am.
right.
So all this kind of mental self trouble we can give ourselves in this also. There's a lot of oppression in the other path also, saying that you are not good enough because you are not practicing enough. You are unworthy because you should do more practice. So a lot of this trouble can come. Now, the attempt, and I don't know if I'm succeeding or failing in that attempt, the attempt from here is to remain in God's light and to share whichever pathway feels relevant, seems applicable, seems approachable, resonant for the one that is hearing. In that way, uh, allowing God Himself to use this mouth as He sees fit. And if I don't allow Ananta to get into the picture, which I often do, I have to admit, but if I don't allow him to get into the picture, then it doesn't end up becoming oppressive. It doesn't
Exactly.
end up becoming something where children who come to satsang start feeling like he is pointing personally at me, saying that I'm not doing well enough. So, at least that is my hope, that it is seen in the spirit of love, and together looking as brothers and sisters, together looking at what could be causing that condition to still block us from remaining in God's light. So, I don't feel like oppression is a function of the path. Like, I feel like all true paths can be non oppressive, and all paths which could have even the truth at the center, based on the on whether the source of what is being shared is God, or it is somebody who has now taken charge of those insights for themselves. So I don't feel like operation is a function of really of path really. I feel operation is a function of who's at the center of the sharing.
Totally
Because I
agree.
feel like
Yeah,
inquiry can be made into a very oppressive path. I've seen a
very
lot of oppression happen in the path of self-inquiry, saying, "Why aren't you getting it? You should have got it by now. It's instant. It's instant. You're not doing
your
it
fault.
correctly.
Your
It's
fault.
your
Yeah.
fault." Like this kind of thing. And of course, we've seen a lot of guilt and pressure on the paths which are practice-oriented, which are taking God's name oriented also, saying that you are not doing it enough, you are doing it wrong, you are not committed, you are not all of these. But I don't feel like that is a function of the path by itself.
I agree. Because it's like water, takes the color what you put it, so
Exactly.
it's not
Exactly.
the path, it's the like this thing that I need to do it, and if I don't do it, I'm not good enough, or I need to solve the problem.
Exactly.
Especially when you're doing the mantra, and then you want the mantra to solve your problem. So you
Exactly.
created so many layers of concepts there, You created a God who'll have to solve your problem and who'll have to take you there. So all that, if you are, the path remains that you are the same, the mantra is you, the God is you, everything is the one, and then you chant, then it takes a different level of devotion and purity in the chanting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just mind stuff, it just can go on for years and years. And
It can.
we've all been there, we've all been doing this for years.
It can.
Thank you, thank
Uh,
you.
you're very right. The only thing I would add to this, and I'll send you a page if someone can send Kavita the page where, as we're studying the Bhagavad Gita now, we are studying like all the schools and what the feeling they had about what Lord is saying. And some school says that it's Advaita Vedanta, some says it's Vishisht Advaita, some said it's
Yeah,
Bheda Abheda, some said it is Dvaita, it is not Advaita at all, some say it's Shuddha Advaita, it's many, many different ways of looking at it. Now, one way to look at this would be to say that only one school, let's say Adi Shankaracharya school, they are the only ones that were the highest, they got it right.
yeah,
Everyone else is the lower path. That is one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, if you really study the lives of those sages, the other sages, you will see that they were very, very beautiful sages as well. So
you're right.
how could it be that like a Madhavacharya or a Ramanujacharya,
Ramanujacharya,
if you
absolutely.
look at their lives,
Yeah,
Vallabhacharya, all of these
all
beautiful
of them.
sages, you look at their lives and you say, they are not ones who are getting into delusion. Their
Not at
love for
all.
God is so much, their bhakti, their depth is so much
Mm.
that is not, it's not coming from a lower place or a deluded place. It is just coming from a different place. So when we start to look at it as many rivers all flowing into the same ocean, then
Correct.
we also avoid getting into any pride or any idea that my path is the best or highest or the only one that can do it. So,
Absolutely.
so that I feel like is very helpful. And many times when this whole notion of highest or most direct or all of these things come, I know you saw me a few years back where I was much
Yeah.
more naive, and I'm still very naive. I'm sure. I hope I say the
No,
same things a
you
few
were
years
not naive
later.
then, Father. You were just different. The teaching was more
Yeah,
of the Muji
teaching.
kind of teaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we allow that these great sages could not really have been wrong and they could not be pointing also in a wrong way, then we become a little broader in our perspective and we say, okay, there are so many different pathways, and all of our conditioning, our temperament is different, and the conditions that we have may be more, some people's conditioning may be more resonant to get attracted to this. You had some bad experiences of getting, traumatized with guilt and unworthiness in a particular way. So then that which seems like a cleaner like a chopping way of uh,
Yeah.
getting getting to that same holy insight that may be seeming more attractive to you, and that's fine. And that was like each of us are taken care of in God's grace. So so,
Absolutely.
so all these pathways are available to us. And one thing which is common, no matter what the pathway is, that if we take ourselves just to be a separate body mind, then we are in trouble. That is one
Exactly.
common thread in all the schools which are there. As long as we don't take ourselves to be just a separate me individual, then whatever else the construct for Paramatma, Jivatma, and Jagat may be, whatever combinations and permutations of that may be, they can all point to the highest in one way or the other.
I find that for me, because I've been doing the mantra for so many years,
Yeah,
the moment I do the mantra, like the concepts start.
yes,
Shiva's sitting there and he has to be happy with me and I should be merging with him. And then the mind has, oh, how many should I do? Should I do 10,000, 5,000? 5,000 not enough. I must do 20,000. So all these concepts start, and then I must pray to him. And there's all kinds. And then if I don't pray enough, the miracles won't happen. So the who am I just cuts all that off for me, at
very,
least,
yeah,
because
yes,
it
yes,
just cuts off everything. Like,
yes,
who am I? So I can't find somebody. So then so of course, I do the mantra. I'm not saying I don't do it. It's just that the mantra brings out more concepts. Like,
yes,
that's what I find.
yes. Actually, the design of both is to keep us away from believing concepts. So,
Yes,
the spirit in which we do the chanting. So, if we do Ram, it can be done in the spirit that I am chanting Ram, I am chanting Ram, I am chanting Ram. Like that can be one spirit of it.
yes,
And the other spirit of it is that when I say Ram, then it is He who is here now. It only everything, the entire Antakarna now is immersed in Ram itself. There is no space to conceptualize anything about the one who is doing the chant. You see, it just
beautiful.
immerses ourselves fully in that Ram. So it goes from I am chanting Ram, I am chanting Ram, I am chanting Ram. So it becomes more like, it seems more like a collaboration at best, which it is not, to
God,
Ram, and it is his presence which then continues the practice. So
chanting.
one beautiful thing I found over the years is that our Atma itself loves to pray.
Yes, I agree. You're right.
Atma itself loves to pray, so we just hand over to the Atma, and the Atma loves remembering God's name. The Atma loves to pray. So, so the japa really brings us to that point that we allow it. Like of all these stages and all that. We don't need to get into that, but like it happens ajapa only because that Atma is there on the inside which loves to pray. So it grows into so if our prayer starts with as if I have to put some effort in my mind to pray, maybe I start with my lips and tongue, and then it becomes a mental prayer, then it becomes a japa in the mind itself, then it drops into my heart, and then I am just sitting at that door we talked about and enjoying the reverberation of God's name being taken in that holy temple in my heart. It leaves no room for the me. It leaves no scope for the me to survive
Very
or to
true.
be there. So it's it all pathways have to cross through that point only. You see, and especially these traditional pathways which have been time tested for thousands and thousands of years with such great sages who are recommending them, they
Yeah.
cannot they cannot lead us in the wrong way. But because there are so many beautiful pathways available to us, whatever we feel brings us to that stillness, brings us to that door, we can use that. We can use that pathway.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Very welcome. So nice to see you again.
Thank
Yeah. Because of the gap that you had, it
Yeah.
must be a bit of a culture shock. Like,
I was
what has
shocked the
happened?
first
Like,
time. I said, what is
what is this pointing? All
no,
of the
no,
rest,
yeah,
most of the rest here have had a few years to see the
so
change.
I get
Yes,
what you're saying. Absolutely, that it's one and the same. If you dissolve in the Ram, then there's no you in any case. So then,
exactly, exactly. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for patiently hearing this because
No, not at all. I'm very
this,
happy. In fact, I whatever you said, I saw some clips and I was very drawn to the absorption and the devotion and like you said, putting God center, like, because always it's us, me, 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 me. It's all about me, me. So
exactly.
that's what made me want to come to the satsangs again.
Very
Thank you
good.
so
I'm so happy. Thank you. Okay, let's go to Esther.
Hey,
Hello.
Ananta.
Hello.
I don't know if you remember me. It's also been quite a
Ah,
few years.
yes. Of course, I remember you. It's just that you have longer hair now.
Yeah.
Of course, of course. I
Yeah.
remember you. In fact, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see you. I was remembering you the other day, and I was actually sharing the story where I know you came from America, and then you said that you speak Russian, so that I was taken for a moment. I was a bit confused with that. So I remember you very well, my child. So good to see you after so
Yeah.
long. It's been many years.
It made me smile to come on the satsang, and it's really good. It's been so many years, and I've been on a journey.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all like the manifestation of my expression, like needed to go on these journeys and exploring different things. Um, and then recently I've had a challenge where I feel like the tools I've had just don't work anymore. And
Ah,
so I've
yes.
kind of been coming back to trying everything in my arsenal, and I
Yeah.
find myself back here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask your help with something.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm making a big life choice right now. I'm so yeah, this question is very practical, but it's also
Sure.
very, it's very deep for me. It's like making a big life choice. Uh, Someone has like proposed to me for marriage, and I'm going through this process of dating for marriage, and it's really made me lose my peace.
Ah, yes.
Um, because the decision maker is so strong. And so for the past few months, it's been a series of exploring this process of decision making. On the one hand, first, I noticed how much thinking and rumination and worrying was going into it. And so I I was like, I can't make a decision from that energy. So I kind of located that the decision, the problem is this fear of the one who will make a mistake
Ah,
from making mistakes in the past.
yeah.
And I do this modality now, which I think is very complementary to inquiry, but it's like I actually feel the emotion of that fear and I process it as an energy out of my body.
Yeah.
And that helps me then it's like a form of inquiry that sorry, my throat.
Don't worry. Take your time.
It helps me get back to just being me because the delusion has an energetic power. So I actually work with the energy of the fear in my body. And that really helped at one level. So it's like, I'm not the one, all that fear is unnecessary. But then I was, okay, so I was like coming back into like, so if the decision maker isn't here, I'll just sit and it'll just come to me, like what I should do.
Ah, yeah.
And it's like, well, that doesn't work either because like what is the story where there's this master who before he goes into this 10-hour meditation says I'm thirsty, or not 10-hour, 10-year meditation,
10
and then
years.
10 years later he comes back, he wakes up and he's like I'm thirsty. So
Yeah.
it's like
then it can be like, oh, I'll just stay in the I am in the presence and I will know what to do. And it manifests as you're just procrastinating or you're just in indecision. So then I was like, okay, so I do have to employ, I feel like even if there's no decision maker, decision making is a process that still needs to happen in the manifest world. I need to actually employ my mind. I need to think. So where I am now is I have actually gone in and thought and I've looked at my emotions and I've used logic and then still, there's like motion is not good, but then everyone says follow your heart, but then logic is also important to understand compatibility. And then I also don't want to invite Advaita things away and be like, oh, it doesn't matter who you marry. Like, it's going to be fine. It's like, no, like I'm not doing that at this point in my life. It's a huge decision. So, and even if I say no now and I continue to date, this issue will come up again. And so that is where I'm really struggling. I want to make a God-aligned choice, and I want it to not come from delusion, and it's high stakes. And then there's time and the pressure of time. So I've tried to remove that. And I just wanted to get your perspective. Like, how would you approach this? And the deeper question is, can there be decision making without a decision maker? And what is the right approach to making such a big decision?
Thank you so much. So nice to hear you. And I see that I remember you so that you were so earnest and sincere and honest. So I'm so happy to see that that hasn't changed, and it's very you. It touches my heart. It's very very sweet. So before you said that beautiful word, you said I want to make a God-aligned decision. No, you said I want to make a God-aligned decision. What would that list? Could you expand on that term for me? Like, what did you mean to convey with that?
Yeah, well, this is an interesting concept is there a right choice, like a soulmate, and you have to recognize the soulmate, and that would be God aligned? Or is God aligned just, you know, I am, I know what it is that for me to be God aligned now, I need certain qualities in a partner. Um, and so if that person has those qualities, then, and we are compatible, then in the future, I will be more God aligned because I will be more connected to God. And if I'm constantly suffering and confused and it's not compatible, then I will be less God aligned. So I don't know which one, maybe both.
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's good. So, if you were to simplify a bit, and you were to say, let's take somebody in the Zoom. So, suppose for some reason you said, I want to make a decision which is Avital aligned. Avital, you see her? So she's in Australia, so it's late, so we let her rest. We won't disturb her. But suppose you said you want to align yourself to Avital. How would you do that?
It doesn't really make I wouldn't want to be aligned with person I don't know because I don't know
Yes,
them.
yes. But suppose that we were cross that point. You know, everything is perfect. You've done that due diligence, and you say that I want to be aligned with Avital's way. How would you do that?
So if
Should I
I
help a
want
bit?
to, yeah, no, no, it's a good question because it gets me to think. Because I do think I'm often, okay, so I'll just answer your question. How would I do it? I would study what Avital does
Yes,
and I would try to mimic that.
yes, yes. Beautiful. So we could say you would emulate her. You would try and emulate her based on what you found about her. So now, uh, as you've said that it's important that the decision is God aligned, I would say that there are two ways in which you could do this. You could use your conceptual knowledge of what you think God is like, what you think God would decide, what you think will be in service to God, what God would like. We would try and use our ideas, our notions of what we know. Or you could align yourself with God's presence in your heart and get aligned with that. So, do you feel, because we haven't spoken in many years, so I'm just going to ask straight out, do you feel like God's presence is there in your heart?
I'm I'm on my own and in a peaceful state. Yes.
What is the second
And,
thing you said? When you're on your
yeah,
own and
and in a peaceful state.
in a peaceful state. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And then when I begin to start dating, I'm not in a God aligned state because the decision maker comes and the stakes are high. You've made mistakes before, and this is important. And every moment is a decision to go on another date, to not, to da da da. And and then there's the emotional things too about dating, rejection and all the ego really comes out. So when I'm dating, I'm not very God aligned, but I'm working on it. Um, Otherwise, I'm fine, I feel. Yeah.
Thank you. That's good. So, why do we feel like we call this a spiritual path?
Why do I call it a spiritual path?
No, not you. I'm saying all of us. If you were to ask, we would say that this is a spiritual gathering. If you don't know Sanskrit or Hindi, then we may not call it a satsang. And a satsang actually implies the same thing. But let's say this is a spiritual gathering. Why do we call it a spiritual gathering?
As putting our attention on the unity of our being, and that creates and talking about that, and that creates a certain energy which is more spiritual, more elevated.
Yes. And do you feel like something can be spiritual without spirit?
I think everything is spiritual. Like I,
Yeah. But
yeah,
is there, like in Sanskrit we have a term called Atma, in English we use a term called the Holy Spirit. Is there such a thing? Even if you can call it a thing.
it's not a thing. It's a it's a quality of presence, of being,
Yeah. Yes.
and we put our attention there, it becomes more manifest. And when we diminish our attention and focus on the objects like sensory appearances, then that sense diminishes and yeah, but it's still spiritual.
Yes, because everything appears in the light of spirit. No?
Yeah.
But if somebody, let's take a strange example. If somebody is being selfish and uh, oppressing 10 people in their work situation because of their selfishness, would you call that being spiritual?
Not exactly answering your question, but it's something that came to mind is that I think this used to be my problem with these these teachings and why I stepped back for a while. And I do want to answer your question, but it's
No, take your
because
time.
I found that I was making poor life decisions
Yeah.
when I was taking this view, like there would be someone who was oppressing me in some way, and I would be like, oh, it's all the self and da da da. And I was avoiding making important decisions and like the life, the I had to pay attention more to the parts of me that were people pleasing, the parts of me that were excusing poor behavior, and kind of get back to human basics. And then, because if you don't have that,
Exactly.
you're just in an Advaita excuse, and you
Exactly.
can really get lost in life. And I did get lost in life for a while. So I had to do a lot of, in that situation, if there's someone that oppressing me, I would I would check in and I would say, first of all, I need to protect my energy first because this is where God dwells. And so the body is very important, just like I wouldn't eat bad food. And I would have to, I would not keep that person in my life. I would set a boundary because that's non-negotiable. And so there's duality there, but it's the truth of what needs to happen. But then I would, of course, have to release the resentment all the while protecting myself and having the good boundary. So these kind of concepts were not talked about in satsang, and I wouldn't say I can't blame Advaita. It's operating at a higher dimension of consciousness, but we also need the lower dimensions of consciousness, or we cannot function in this world. And we did manifest to live. I do believe that there is a destiny, an expression that we have to manifest that's holy and healthy. And we need to balance all those parts of our body mind. So I would say no, in that moment, that person is not acting spiritual. But in my spiritual reality, I need to, you know, I need to factor that information in and make the right God-aligned choice.
That's an amazing answer. Thank you. Exactly. That's exactly. I couldn't have said it anywhere close to that well. So beautifully said. Uh, so selfishness, egotism, is contrary to uh, God, Spirit. Of course, all of it is appearing only in the same light. That is undeniable. And yet, uh, in the a life in the light of spirit versus a life in the absence of the life of spirit can feel texturally very different and can be lived in a very different way. So that's why I loved it when you said you want to make a God aligned choice, because our handle, our window to God is the presence of the spirit within us, the Atma within us. So, I feel you have a sense of what I'm getting at now. So what I'm getting at really is that we can never presume or speculate what the God aligned choice would be. No? We have to find that out from the spirit itself, because a spiritless spirituality is not a spirituality at all. And I've been joking about this, saying it's like a restaurant without food. It's not a restaurant at all. No? So it's just a set of menus. So, so we cannot read the menu of some speculative food and make a decision which will be about the right food to eat. In a way, that was a stupid example, so keep that aside. But I hope you're getting a sense of what I'm saying. That if you want to be spiritually aligned, if you want to be God aligned, then there is the true presence of the Spirit within your heart, which can help you in this process. It is put there to guide us in every situation, especially in these difficult situations. That God's guidance is available to us in our heart, and we must rely on that guidance more and more to make the choices which are God aligned, which keep us in alignment with God.
Interesting. At one point you said the word selfish, and it just triggered for me like I feel like I've actually become more selfish over the years because I've had to prioritize my state of inner peace and inner being, and that's the only way God can be in this body. If I'm not selfish, then I become a martyr, and I'm not happy anymore, and I'm not aligned at that point. So it's almost like selfishness has become a spiritual practice for me in terms of what in conditions and environment do I need to be healthy and happy.
Yes. I wouldn't call that selfish at all, because the very design of our insides, if our insides are designed for a holy partnership, a holy love relationship with God, and I immerse myself in situations which don't allow that holy love relationship to grow, you see, then then in the trick of ego, in the trick of Maya, that that is selfish. If we are creating peace in our lives, because peace is the prerequisite for this holy meeting to happen. Without peace, it's just not possible. So we have to be able to relax into it, to be peaceful, to not be in the mode of grasping. You see? So the mode of grasping is what I would call selfish. This mode of turning inwards, offering yourself to God in this deepening of the love relationship with God, then that is not selfish. That is fulfilling the very design of our insides, the very design of our antakarna or soul, or whatever word you want to use for that. So, so I see what you mean, and I encourage you to be more selfish if that is what you mean by selfishness. But the handing over of the individual will to merge into God's will is the way to God alignment. And the way to merge into God's will is not to speculate on what He wants or think about what He wants, and to be able to determine on the basis of some conceptual parameters what He wants, but to try and be in His presence as much as possible, so that He can either move us in the way that He wants without the interference of my individual grasping, or He can guide us in the heart. It may even be heard as guidance from the heart. So in both these ways, we are aligned with God's will, we are aligned with God, and our decisions become God aligned. So, uh, so I would say that, and take whatever I say, of course, with a pinch of salt, but from my limited understanding of what I've heard from you, is that you're saying when these difficult, high stakes decisions come and there's time pressure because somebody is waiting for a response, and all of these, then it seems very difficult to be aligned with the Atma within or the spirit within. But these are exactly the times where we need to be, because the stakes are so high. You see? Now, these are the times, if we were to go with the conceptual idea of what God would want, then that may not be the best move we can make. That's what, in the way Maya wants us to get us to a thing, get us into a high pressure decision making mode, where we don't really wait for God to show us in our heart. We just try to think it through and say, what would God really like? But actually, God's will is really available at a deeper place. It is not available in our conceptual layer in that way. So, my submission to you would be that even though it may seem like a high pressure situation, uh, try to remain close to Him in your heart and allow yourself to move from there. And remember, my faith tells me that if something is a gift from God, like if your relationship, marriage relationship, is a gift from God, then no power on earth, no time, no space can take it away from you. So don't get into this time pressure that I have to decide, because a gift from God cannot be snatched away from you with time, because of time. So have that faith that if this is, I'm belaboring your word, God aligned. So if it is God aligned, then it cannot be taken away from you. So you have to take yourself out of the pressure, stress position, which doesn't allow you to really feel His presence in your heart, and say, no, you trust God. If it is a gift from God, it cannot be a high pressure situation, and I will not be rushed into this decision, which I myself am saying it's a high stakes decision.
I see what you're saying, and I have been feeling that where I feel like when as I that's exactly the thing is I was like, oh, this is the thing I said in the beginning with the water, where I feel like if I just surrender into, or I've tried this, I surrender into just being aligned with God and not thinking about it and just trusting, and nothing changes. It's like I still leave that state and I'm thirsty for the water. So that is like I want to I want that to work for me, but I guess it hasn't in the past where
Yeah.
I'm happy now and I won't think about it, and and then nothing
May I
changes.
just say that uh, that also, and I'm not at all, this is not blaming or attacking in any way, but this is kind of symptomatic of what I'm saying, the speculation about what God's will would be looks like in the sense that God would want me to be just chill, not worry, not think about it. It's just we get into another conceptual compartment of spirituality, which has all of these concepts of what God would want, or what God aligned means, and that usually becomes this whole, it's okay, if it works, it works, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it's all the self, this kind of Advaita denial type stuff. So, but that's from another compartment of the mind itself, which seems to make a way out of our spirituality in the head itself. You see? And both those sound like different modalities within our conceptual ideas of what it means to live this life. But if you were to try and be God aligned, like I took that example of Avital aligned, because if I said that you never meet Avital, you don't know how she is, what she does, what she reads, what she likes, what is this thing, then you can't really be aligned to her. No? And if you just speculate about what she would like, then also it will just be a speculation. And in this case, it could be just some Advaita ideas of how life should be. But Advaita ideas are not Advaita. You see, the Advaita way in our head is not Advaita. So, uh, so my recommendation would be that don't get into time pressure, don't get into stress about the decision. It will not allow you to really be with the true spirit, the Atma within, the Satguru within. So take your time. Uh, if in taking that time you feel like some insights are coming to you, then allow yourself to deepen in those insights, but take that call, yes or no, really from a place of deep clarity in your heart, not from a conceptual idea of what spiritual decision making would be like. And if it takes, like I'm going to say something strong, but even if it takes 2 years, then take those 2 years. Don't jump in unless there's a deep clarity within you. And I'm not predicting anything. It could be 2 days or 2 years. Not at all predicting. I'm just saying that because your intention is beautiful, which is to be God aligned. Now, God alignment can happen when you have a sense of the one you're trying to emulate, isn't it?
And you're saying it doesn't have to look like I'm meditating and I am, and I never think that I don't think, I don't contemplate, I don't ponder, because that's another concept. You're saying it can just look like I can I can just don't rush and just be in your God aligned state. And it might look like not thinking about it, but it also might look like contemplating it.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't care, even if it looks like you're really in your head and you're just, the whole world says this is not spiritual, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as
Mm,
you know that you're trying to align yourself into God in your heart, how that shows up outside really is not important at all.
what about the state? You might be like this and might be feeling horrible, and you could have an Advaita concept like,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, I'm observing, and this is a necessary product process of like, really thinking and being in my ego, and this is a necessary thing. It's God aligned. But is that God aligned?
What God aligned will look like for you, only you will be able to tell. What does it look like for you? Uh, and you've been on the spiritual journey for quite some time, so you have a sense of what God aligned looks like for you on the inside. So can you give me a sense of that? Are you able to distinguish between like using conceptual Advaita to make it seem like I'm making spiritual choices without trying to emulate the spirit in any way, and the real like job of meeting the spirit in the heart and trying to emulate? You are clear about that distinction, isn't it?
What I found in my own life is that I cannot, in order to, if I just want to recognize the self and be with myself, be with God, that's something I can do in any moment. But to solve something in the real world, there is this battle that happens in the manifestation of, being like, God, I need an answer, praying for an answer. And then usually before the clarity comes, I actually have to take some physical action. I have to think. I have to process emotions. I need to like sometimes do something that looks so egoic, like being online, just looking like having a panic attack, freaking out, like, and I'm aware that this is part of the process of what I need. And so I think what I'm struggling with here is that normally I go through that process, and in the end I get some kind of like answer, like through the Google search, I find some kind of answer to the problem and manifestation, like a certain modality that I'm like, oh, I see what I've been doing, or I need to eat this like special diet because I was having this health issue and now it helped. So like God answered my prayer. It was a very much in the manifest world. And it doesn't look like Advaita at all, but it is God's play of like how you actually solve problems in the physical world. Um, but in this case, with this decision, I find that there's no resolution. There's no like, it's been going on for months. And it's like, I feel like I don't trust the sense of reveille, the sense of, oh, this is what God wants. Because am I trusting an emotion? Is this a red flag? Like, it's like I could feel something in the moment that feels like, oh, yes, I should move forward, or no, I shouldn't. But it can go back the other way. It's not the way it works in the past for me, where it's like, I found something, God answered my prayer. It's not working like that. It's like, I just feel like I see two branches, and I could go here or I could go here. It's almost like, and I could flip flop, and it could feel intuitive here. It could feel God aligned, and then it could feel God aligned. That's where I'm stuck.
Yes, I have to tell you this thing that there's a decision like that in my life also, uh, like which seemed like a big decision, uh, and it's been like preyed on in the heart for the last 3-4 years, and there's not uh, clarity on that. There's not clear in terms of what should be the method, if at all, something about that. So it's manifesting itself in various ways. But if you was to ask me, is this what you're doing or is that what you're doing? I'd say no, I don't know. For the last 3-4 years, I don't know. And I just have to be patient and wait for his guidance to become clearer and clearer.
I actually do believe that one should wait instead of just making a decision that feels more aligned, taking a risk. Because isn't sometimes, even if you don't know, you must just make a decision, but you think that I should wait and keep waiting.
I
What if
would
you
say
wait
that
forever?
what if you?
What if you wait forever and also waiting is also a decision. Waiting for clarity is also a decision as
Yeah,
opposed to just
right.
deciding
Yeah.
with logic too, like, you know, things if the way things are right now isn't good, but what if things change, you know?
Yes, but then our parameters change. So, uh, like if I say that I want my decision to be God aligned, I also know that I cannot force God into deciding quickly on my timeline. So, if my parameters change, like if in your case you change your parameter and you don't say I want my decision to be God aligned, and you say, but I want it to be completely logical, so I will examine all the parameters, I will use my intellect to the best possible, and I will take the best logical decision, then that's fine. But we cannot say, I want it to be God aligned, but I'm going to intellectualize what God would want and take a decision based on that. Then we just admit that it's an intellectual call that I've taken, instead of keeping the garb of it being God aligned. Now, if it has to be God aligned, then God cannot be pushed. God makes us humble, makes us patient, makes us faithful in many, many deep ways. So, my recommendation is that you're on the right track, you want it to be God aligned, and just because I am saying I waited for many years before deciding what the next steps are on something doesn't mean he's going to take many years with you also. It doesn't mean that at all. So, so I would say stick to it. My recommendation would be stick to it. But if you feel like it's impossible to stick to it now and I have to just take an intellectual call, then at least admit to yourself that I've taken an intellectual call, and that was the best I could do at that point of time.
This is, I think, where my sticky thing is
Yeah.
what if God aligned for me means to be logical?
Yeah.
What if God aligned is logical?
Yeah.
Because in the past, I've made decisions out of emotions, which have been bad. But if you use logic, God also gives us the faculty of logic to make decisions. So why not use that faculty?
I've often said in Satsang that if the decision has to come from one of these two modes, which is rationality or emotion, always go with rationality, because emotions are just all over the place. Okay. So if it is between these two, but if there is a third, which is intuitive insight, which is heart knowledge, which is Atma guiding us, the spirit guiding us, then go with that. But emotions are probably one of the worst places to decide from, or if not the worst.
I think my issue is that the emotional and the intuitive get mixed. So I feel an emotion and I think it's my intuition, and I have trouble discerning between my true this God intuition and just an emotional
Yeah.
feeling. moment. And I have not been able to discern this in my life, I think ever. I've always kind of struggled with these decisions. So um
Maybe
I
this
don't
is a
really
good time.
know.
Maybe this is a
Yeah.
good time to learn that, because I would not want any one of us to come to the end of this life without coming to the holy place where God can guide us, God can lead us. So, uh, so I would really wish that upon you, that you are able to discern between the topsy-turvy, emotional kind of way of being and deciding versus when you when you get clarity from your heart and you just know over there in a place of faith. It is tricky because many times the mind poses like that. The mind also poses like authoritatively, I know, you see. But if there is a sliver of doubt, then we must be patient, we must wait. And many times we don't like that answer because the world is on us to decide. So that seems like not helpful at some point. But I feel like these situations are very helpful for us to be able to discern between intellect, rationality, between emotional kind of uh, pushing energetically, and that still place where God is able to guide us. So, so I pray and I wish upon you that you get access to that holy still place where clarity is provided in your heart.
I think my
But
I
I
think
feel
I've
this
had
conversation is really helpful for all of us that are hearing, because you've identified like a conceptual spiritual spot which the mind itself has, which is this whole thing about, yeah, this, don't sweat it, just do, yeah. So, like that. And also you identified emotional layer which can pose as if it is spiritual, because it seems to be like a deeper thing, and many times people call the emotion the heart, but that is not the heart I'm referring to. I'm talking to the spiritual core of our existence, that spiritual heart, which where the spirit itself is, where the Atma itself is, and it is the true guide in our lives. So it is very good to carry the intention to meet that holy guide in our heart.
just just to kind of summarize for me practically like what I need to do. Mm, I've had the experience before of coming to an intuitive guidance and it being wrong, where I realized later it was, yeah, like the mind and the emotional system fabricated a feeling of intuitive, yes, this
Yes.
is the way to go, or there was a sign, or even a deep knowing, but it later on turns out to have just been a mind state of knowing. And this has been really tripping me up in my life with making decisions as I don't know what to trust. Um, and so I guess just to practically how to do this, if I'm in the state of being God aligned, should I touch the mind at all? Can I touch the mind and stay God aligned in terms of using logic and rationality? Or or is it really just a state of waiting and not even touching the issue, the decision? That's the thing. Can decision making happen without a decision maker? Or does the act of decision making and thinking mean I'm believing in a decision maker? And to do this practically going forward, like what should I do?
So can we try a few more days and allow God to guide you, even in terms of which aspects of your existence could be helpful in this process? So, even whether to uh, Google something, or whether to make a spreadsheet comparing two decisions, whatever the activities which we may call rationality or intellect, maybe God can help us, guide us on whether to do any of that as well.
Oh, okay. That's such a new idea.
Because when we make the entirety of ourselves available to God, you see, just like we make the job of the one who's sharing satsang is to make the entirety of himself available to, or herself available to God, to be used in whichever way. So the words that come have to come from there, and that is when it is true satsang. So he uses uh, metaphors, he uses this body mind contraption, he uses many times logical reasoning in answering questions. So God himself can use all these faculties that we have. So it is it is it is the one who we are placing at the center of the decision making process, which is important. So if we place God at the center of the decision making process, everything, the whole universe is available to him to use and to shine his love and light on. But if we put myself at the center of the decision making process and try to make use of God in some way, then that seems to be a stickier terrain. And usually, in the silence, in the absence of clarity, that me who was at the center of the decision making process humbles itself, becomes humbler and more devotional or more trusting of God, and then God's guidance seems to get clearer and clearer because He has been given the center stage and we become a sidekick in that movie. So, so if you feel like you are the Batman and he's Robin at the moment, then usually what happens is till he becomes Batman and you become either nothing or Robin, till then it doesn't seem that clear as to what he wants to do.
So you're saying to just surrender and see what happens, but I think there also has to be some kind of prerequisite that you're surrendering to God, not to a pull to research
Exactly.
something. And
Yeah.
so the reality, the way you'll know you're on the right track is the feeling of peace. If you've lost your peace, you've kind of gone off track. But if you stay in peace and surrender and God, show me what to do next, show me what to do next, even if it's make a spreadsheet, even if it's talk to this person, like I'm talking to you now, like I was guided to come here, um, then I just follow that. Is that correct?
That's, yes, I would say yes. I would say yes.
This is
Definitely
something.
don't, like one don't which is very important is to not fall for any spiritual concept of what that God aligned would look like. You see, because somewhere over the years, like the mind seems to have created one spiritual compartment and one logical or worldly compartment. You know? Now, it is that is a huge trick of Maya, where the spirituality on the spiritual side it wins, and on the rational side it wins. So, when we follow what our mind feels spiritual alignment would look like, we're still not spiritually aligned. So don't get pulled into your any idea you may have of what your spiritual alignment will look like. Like an idea like I can't make a spreadsheet, or I can't talk to someone, or I can't do some research. All this is coming from a compartment of spirituality, of how spirituality must look like. But spirituality doesn't conform to our idea of what spirituality must look like.
And 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 peace is the goal. Peace is the goal, right?
Peace is the goal, peace is the bridge, like peace is the pathway. If you remain in peace, then the insight will become clearer and clearer in your heart. So It's a safety blanket also. It's a safety blanket also. Like we are not getting excited or agitated in our mental conceptualization. We are remaining in peace in our heart and moving from there.
I think I think this has actually helped me. Like even this is new. There's something new happening here, which is good. There's like a fresh new something happening, and I'm gonna follow it.
Very good, very good.
Thank you
So good,
so much.
so good. I'm so glad you came. What is it? Are you in America now? Or what time? It must be very early there.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. here.
Oh, 10. Okay. It's not too bad. Good. Okay. So happy to see you. So nice. Bless you. Bless you so much. Okay. Let's quickly just look at the remaining hand. Let's go to Samia.
Father.
Hello.
Father,
Try once more.
you cannot hear?
Yes, very good. This is very good.
Oh,
Closer was very good.
yeah. Thank you so much, Father, for having me. I know
Welcome.
that you are tired, but yeah, just a second, Father. First, I need to settle. I don't know why each time, but
Don't worry. Take it.
um, the previous talk was very good for me, Father, as if like it sorted out my mind. And I'm sorry, like as if I can see how my mind talks to me about the things, the vasanas I will call, always comes to me. Sorry, I feel a little bit hurried to bring what I want to bring because you said short time, but may I take my time, please?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to put myself in a hurry. It won't take so much time, but just want to get rid of this.
Yeah.
So I think again, and again, what comes and catches my mind is that not just work, Father. I
Not
countless
just work.
times think not
Not just
what was
work.
that? Yeah,
You
work,
said work.
work. Yeah. Um, what I was saying. Okay, it's not just about work. Okay, it's something. I don't know what is that. I don't know what is that, but it always catches me, Father. Okay, in the discuss of work also, like some kind of dream that I have in my image, and I want this, but I cannot have this. And I feel like I'm not doing that for that enough. Just these things always here, just catching so much my attention. So first, I feel like I need to really bring this to you. I really need to bring this to you because it really catches me. And yeah, I feel it's very important to bring that to you.
So what I'm hearing, and you can improve upon that if I've heard it wrong, is that you're saying something gets to you again and again, and it's not just about work, it could be anything. And if I was to
It's
add to
about
that,
being something, Father. It's
about
about
being
being
something.
something related with what I also share with you. Like, what was the name of that inferior complexity
Yes,
kind of
absolutely.
that don't mix. So yeah, that's the thing. But at the same time, Father, I feel to pray to you while I was listening Satsang. I just want to pray now, okay? Because okay, what catches me? I just want to pray God to give me something also to play with in this world, okay? Because at the same time, it feels like all the doors are closed to me and I'm not enjoying that anymore. Like sitting was good, taking time and healing was good. But not doing anything at all, even physically, I'm just down with that. And I know that if doing or expression only comes from God, it's something very good and beneficial for myself or everyone, not my forcing doing. So I cannot force. Thank God for that. I'm happy that He doesn't allow me to force, but at the same time, as if like I'm asking this gift from God.
Okay,
Even
so
at
we
the
pray,
work or job, whatever it is that, yeah, I'm listening.
we pray together to God. Just say exactly what you want that will make you happy. Let's pray on that together.
Okay.
Take it.
I want to enjoy life and world with God. I I don't want to take myself out of even doings or things, but fully enjoy the world with God. And transform everything which was not allowing this. May I share one more thing,
Yes.
please? Ah, Father, I don't know. I feel to bring this to you. It goes together. It's also I want a relationship as well. Okay.
So is that a part A of the first prayer or no?
Part A of the first prayer. It's what?
The first prayer is that you want to enjoy life while keeping it completely in love with God. So, would this relationship enjoyment also be part of that, or is that a separate uh, column
No,
in the
it
prayer?
will be part of that, of course. But
Very good.
what I bring this to you because you also maybe know or remember that it was a big issue for me, and I don't believe that it can be granted to me. It was such a big issue that I very, very, it was just so much deeply believed that I cannot be loved, especially by men. So that's why it was a necessity to bring this to you. And I'm just done with this. I want to experience this. Thank you, Father. Thank you. But just a little thing. I wanna found my own work, whatever is that, I don't know. Hope it is included the first one, but again, I also feel to say it out loud. So it's included in the first prayer. So
You
thank you.
want to
Thank
have
you
your
so much
own,
for this
what was
gift.
it?
Huh?
You want to have your own work.
Found my own interest,
Find
work, whatever is that. Yeah.
your work.
Whatever my hobby, interest, craftsmanship is that. Yeah. Father, thank you. I just asked for a gift from God yesterday, and I prayed like this in the tomb yesterday. I felt to pray like this. I want a gift from God, and this is my gift from God today. I didn't expect this, so thank you so much. Love you, Father. Thank you. Thanks to everyone.
Sometimes I'm just very happy to play the role of a temple priest and pray to God for whatever the children ask for. Okay, let's go to Sharat. Able to unmute? Ah, yes. Very
Namaste,
clear.
Father.
Namaste. Congratulations once again. And all our love and
Thank you.
blessings to the little child. And may her life be full of love, light, peace, grace, self realization, everything that God has made possible for us in this human play. May the highest be hers, and may He keep her in His light, in His Kripa Drishti, in His love at all times.
Thank you.